All right, let's talk about something big that just dropped from OpenAI. It's something that's really going to change how software engineers work. We're talking about the launch of GPT-5-Codex, and I'm going to break down exactly what makes this thing such a massive leap forward. Let's get right into it. So, if you're a developer, you know this feeling, right? You're deep in a project, you ask your AI coding assistant for help, and it just doesn't get it. It loses the context, gets confused by different files, and sure, it's great for a little code snippet here and there, but it completely fails when you need it to see the bigger picture. It's been a huge frustration for a long time. And that's really been the core issue, hasn't it? These tools, they've been helpful, for sure, but they've always felt more like a really smart autocomplete than a real coding partner. When you get to the tough stuff, like a massive refactor or trying to understand a huge, unfamiliar code base, they just fall flat. There's been this huge gap between what they promise and what a developer actually needs day to day. Well, GPT-5 Codex is here to completely change that. It's a fundamental shift. We're going from tools that only get a few lines of code to one that understands the entire repository. We're moving from just handling simple, quick tasks to tackling complex projects that can take hours. And maybe the biggest deal of all, we're shifting from an AI you have to constantly guide to one that can actually work on its own. This brings us to a really important term that OpenAI is using, agentic software engineering. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's the whole key to this thing. It basically means the AI is no longer just a passive tool waiting for your next command. It's an agent. It can work by itself, solve problems, and act more like a junior developer on your team. It's a move from assistant to a true collaborator. And get this, in their testing, GPT-5 Codex was able to work on a single complex task on its own for over 7 hours. I mean, just let that sink in. It can write code, run tests, find bugs in its own work, and fix them for pretty much an entire workday without you having to hold its hand. That's not just an improvement, that's a whole new level. So, how on earth does it do all of this? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the new toolkit that's powering these incredible new capabilities. First up, and this one is a huge deal, is repository-level reasoning. Old AI models were basically stuck looking at one file at a time. GPT-5 Codex can take in and understand an entire project at once. That means it gets the full context, it knows how all the different files talk to each other, where the dependencies are, which makes it an absolute beast for huge jobs like refactoring a core feature or migrating a library across the entire codebase. Next is a feature that I think engineering teams are going to absolutely love. AI-driven code reviews. It plugs right into GitHub and can automatically review your pull requests. And we're not talking about just checking for typos. This thing is designed to find actual logic errors, suggest ways to make your code run faster, and even flag potential security holes before they ever make it into the main branch. And the whole process is just seamless. As soon as a dev switches a pull request from draft over to ready for review, GPT-5 Codex just wakes up and gets to work. It analyzes all the new code, considering the whole project, and then it just leaves its feedback as comments right there in the PR, just like another engineer on your team would. But that's not all. There are a bunch of other really cool upgrades. It has something called dynamic thinking time, so simple questions get an instant answer, but for a really hard problem, it can actually take a few hours to work through it. It's also multimodal now, which is wild. You can literally give it a screenshot of a UI bug, and it can write the code to fix it. And just in general, the quality of the code it writes is way better, especially for things like mobile-friendly design. This quote from some of the early reactions really just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures why this feels so different. The big takeaway here isn't that we have a slightly better autocomplete. It's that the very definition of what an AI coding tool can do has just been rewritten. Okay, so this all sounds amazing, right? But all this power is kind of useless if it's a pain to use. So how do you actually get your hands on GPT-5 Codex and start using it? Let's see. Well, here's the best part. It's already out there. OpenAI has rolled GPT-5 Codex out across their whole ecosystem. So if you're on a paid ChatGPT plan, you can use it right now through the VS Code extension, the command line tool, and on the web. And they've said a public API is coming soon too, which means developers will be able to build these incredible abilities into their own tools. So with this tech now available to developers everywhere, what happens next? What's the bigger picture here? Let's talk about what this means for the future of software engineering. Look, if you take one thing away from this, it should be this. The relationship we have with AI as developers has just fundamentally changed. We're not just asking a tool for a little bit of help anymore.
We're now working side by side with a genuine collaborator that can handle big, complex chunks of a project all by itself.
And the real promise here is what this unlocks for us, for the human developers. By automating some of the most tedious and time-consuming parts of coding, it frees us up to do what we do best. Focus on creativity, on high-level architecture, and on solving the truly new and interesting problems that actually push things forward. So that brings us to the final thought. For a long time, the debate has been, will AI ever be able to write real, meaningful code? I think we can say that question is pretty much answered now. The new question, the much more exciting question, is now that we have an AI partner that can do this, what incredible new things are we going to build? What problems that seemed impossible before can we finally solve?